Okay, hey, welcome everyone to the Voice Box Incredibles Film Club, our Friday film club that we're here every Friday talking about our favorite films. We call it a conversation and quiz kind of day because what we like to do is send out the film and take the time to look at it, then come together and actually talk about the subtext or the meaning behind a lot of these films, which turns into a really engaging and interesting conversation. We were hoping to have a special edition for National Recovery Month today and everything, but still, we're still hoping and sending out thoughts and prayers for everyone that has someone who is involved in some form of recovery whatsoever and everything like that. And our thoughts and wishes are with everybody else. And we thought this film, It's a Wonderful Life, even though it's not Christmas time, is a fantastic film when you have a conversation about community, because that's what this film is all about. It's about the power of being one person within a whole slew of people and still mattering when you think you matter least, you matter most and everything. So this is also a colorized version that we shared this week, and I thought it was weird because I love black and whites and I hate when they colorize it, but I actually kind of enjoyed it watching it in color. So it's kind of like watching a whole new film for me. I don't know about you, because everybody always often says, "Oh yeah, I think I've seen that movie. It comes out at Christmas time, doesn't it?" And it seems like it's like something that they avoid. But what I love about this movie, and I love about watching it every Christmas or anytime really, is that at the end, it always does what every filmmaker wants to do. It pulls out an emotional moment. And when I watched this film, that ending, man, when the community comes together and rally behind our hero George Bailey, I became tearful and I cried. I literally cried. I don't know about you, and I'm hoping you did too, because I would have to say, what's wrong with you? But we actually see a whole life encapsulated in this film, and I want to kind of like break that down. But before we do, um, I just wanted to start off with something that I thought that was a new thing. I think every time you watch a movie, there's always something new that you're going to get out of it. And always, the film is about a man who wants to leave his home, leave town. He wants to explore. He wants to be an explorer. He wanted to be an explorer ever since he was a kid, and he doesn't want anything getting in his way. And you kind of ask yourself, he's grown up in a very nice family, with great friends. And why does George feel this way? Why does he want to leave this town behind? And then, so I saw that scene again when the love of his life, who Mary, they had that phone call from his old friend Sam, and like, Sam is offering George a way out. He's always offered George a way out. Come work for me, right? And so why has George never done that? And who's he complaining about? And then so he he says to Mary that I don't want to get married, right? I don't want it to impede upon my dreams. He wants to be his own man. And so, I mean, this was a strange thing because I didn't think about this. It's like, what does George think about marriage? And what does it make us think about it when we explore our own lives? Like, I mean, is marriage the death knell of our happiness? Is this what Frank Capra was trying to say? But it was I didn't pick up on this before. I don't know, maybe now that I'm divorced I have. But like I just thought it was an interesting place to start. I mean, what are people's thoughts around this, or if you have any other thoughts, but pretty much around marriage and it's stopping you from dreaming or being who you want to be. Anybody? That means, oh, Zach, sorry, I forgot I was supposed to look for your hands.
Uh, not particularly that point, but something you said earlier about it being colorized.
Mm.
Um, I thought I might be wrong on this. I thought the first part of the film was in black and white, and when they got married, it changed to color.
No.
Am I wrong there?
Yeah. It
Hmm.
was either black and white or color, but it's just that it had a weird kind of sepia tone to it.
Yeah.
So it might have looked kind of maybe black and white, but no, it was the version I sent anyway was colorized. If you looked at that version, but yeah, the film was either black and white or colorized.
Okay.
But yeah. So it would have been a good idea though, Zach. I mean, maybe that's your camera eye or something like that. It would have been a good idea to, because the first part of the film being his past, right? And then that would have been good that when he jumps into the new life of what the world would have been like to change.
Yeah, I thought that was in my mind. I thought, oh, that's what it is.
Yeah, well, no, that's fantastic idea, but I don't at that time I don't think they were thinking about it like that way. But that would have been a good choice. Amanda, your hand is up.
Yeah. So.
Careful.
Maybe we should say at this point, two of our people who are married. Careful.
It's I think it brings up a whole load of things for me. It's poignancy for, in a context of recovery and whatever that kind of means. I think this what I've seen it a couple of times now, and as you say, Zach, you watch it each time with a fresh eye, and I think this time these are a few things that really stuck out to me. So George, this is why I really like it, is because George to me comes across as very real. So his frustration and his dilemma, and I think that is a big part of life, really, So he was very connected to the values and had a great deal of respect for his father. So he obviously embodied that. And at the same time, I think almost that was an influence of him wanting something else. He saw what his father, he was touched by his father's experience, and then thought, well, I don't want that. I respect it, but I don't want it. And yet, at every turn, he had a dilemma that came from, I suppose, a respect and a love for other people.
Yeah.
And but he wasn't sickly schmaltzy in it. So he felt the feelings of it. So and that really speaks to me, because he was sort of and like that with Mary and all these people who were sort of representing these sort of dilemmas, really, because you could see he loved Mary, and actually that scene where he was getting more and more, I don't want to get married, it was almost because he was feeling more drawn to her.
Yeah, well, he was denying it.
Yeah, so I think that and so he wasn't sickly sweet. He was he was like, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I don't want to do this, and yet he kept coming back to it. And I think the other thing that, again, I think is I suppose a dilemma and a paradox is this idea of be big, have dreams, and actually the power in letting go of some of that. Not necessarily in some martyr-like way, but in that can actually deliver greatness as well, to actually not follow those and then experience what staying put means. So I think staying put takes courage, and I don't know what the word is, but
Well, I think he represents his father's rage. You know, I think like he watched his father growing up. He watched his father, break his back day in and day out, and what he looked at from the outside as a dead end job until he had to do it. And I think he kind of like said to himself from a young age that I'm not going to do that. They barely got by, so like his brother had to go off to college before him, and like he was like, "Look, we got a plan. Don't worry about it. He's going to go to college, and then when he comes back, I'm going to go to college." And then that plan had changed for him. And basically he represents a man who just naturally thinks of others. It's his selflessness that was what made him of interest to the Holy Trinity, so to speak, who was telling his story. Remember, like, the story starts out with God watching him, and like, because they in their omniscience, they know what he's going to do. And that moves me to like, my second thing to talk about, because this is where, as you mentioned before, about how it could deal with recovery, because um, the quote that Clarence had written for him, the angel, is, "No man is a failure who has friends." And this is, I think, why I thought this was a good movie for Recovery Month, because obviously, whatever situation causes people to feel that they are going under, what keeps them up is usually support of another, whether it's a sponsor or a friend, in that aspect. And like when somebody's willing or feels like they have no choice but to give up, it's kind of like this film is like saying, don't be George Bailey on the bridge, thinking that just because life is problematic right now, that only you have no other option but to end it. And so if you think about the main theme of this is that George did not bother. He's so tunnel vision that he never bothered to notice that all the things he selfishly did for others was being watched, not just by the Holy Trinity, but by the people themselves. They may have been selfish in their moments, like when the bank was going to foreclose and everything like that, But that's why the ending is so beautiful, is because they all came together. It's like, wait, George is going to go to jail for helping us? No way. I'm going to give him everything I got, because that's what he has done. And we've seen it, we've witnessed it. But this is what people never see, is because when they're in their own situation, they never realize that, can I lean on you? Can I call you? Can I ask for help? And that's where it is, obviously, how people who are surviving in their recovery will also probably agree, is that no man is a failure without friends. What do people think about that? Tony?
Yeah, I thought all that was very relevant. It was very good. I thought an alternative title to it could have been something like "You Don't Know What You Don't Know," which I'll explain that in a second, which I think also links to recovery. People don't know what they're like without whatever it was that they were addicted to before, until they get there. And when they get there, they can look back and see things, in a much more rounded light. They can also, they see new things, they see possibilities, whereas when you're in the middle of a bad addiction, you can only see that. And it's a bit like George. You can only see the town and what its limitations are.
Or
and he wants to go
outside the town.
He wants to go and see and explore the wider world, because he doesn't know what's out there. And as we go through the movie, at the end, what he doesn't know as well is what's there for himself. He doesn't know about himself and how people think about him until that comes out at the very end. So to some degree, I mean, it could be, we don't know what we don't know, as an alternative name for the film, because he doesn't know at the start what's out there in the wider world. He knows what's in the town, but he doesn't know what's beyond it. And he doesn't know fully what's in the town until he's spent some time there and appreciated it, and got to a point where people then show him what's in the town, And that's him at the heart of it and what he gets back from it.
Interesting. Amanda?
Absolutely. I think I mean, there's so many different lenses in this film. So, I mean, it was a clear one for me as well of not just George and as an individual, but of the systematic stuff. So, you know, Potter was the epitomization of capitalism and a kind of materialistic, capitalistic, possibly patriarchal, but I mean, you've got George there. So, but system, you know, of him, the Bailey sort of loan and buildings company was seen as the only thing.
It was the only thing that had free will.
Well, that was not owned by
Potter.
By Potter, and that was one of the real things about keeping hold of it, really, and that notion of power and populism, if you like, was really powerful for me.
Yeah. What about you, Zach? Any thoughts on stuff that we said so far, or?
I'm not sure what you just said because that's just gone out. But one thing that surprised me about the film, because I have never seen the film before. Surprise!
Did you? Oh, really? So tell us what you thought, please, because you were a complete novice to this movie that I think that a lot of people have seen. So what are your first initial thoughts about the film before you?
Well, when I first started watching it, and there's that sort of was heavenly voices, and I thought, oh no, this is dire. And and the fact that it was called "It's a Wonderful Life" and all the posters had the family with smiling faces and all that gubbins, and I thought, oh, this is going to be just it's terrible. And thankfully, there was an annoying traits in it which evened up the schmaltziness, or made it not schmaltzy, in the way that, you know, the banker that man just mentioned, he was really annoying. You felt you were. I was annoyed by him. Yeah. It wasn't like I was just watching the film. It was like the contrast that they made between like the positivity and lightness of people and him was really good. And the fact that he became so irate and so dislikable, where he was ignoring his family and all that, and he was just about to commit suicide. But the fact that it was annoying and was really good for the film, because you sort of invest in him, and then he's doing all these things, and you think, oh, that's not right. Oh, I don't like, you know, that's just terrible. And you want to slap him or something like that. But the contrast of the light and dark, I thought worked well, and the fact that it was in black and white originally, I thought added to that.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's really interesting because like it doesn't have like religious overtones, you know. It doesn't set up George as a Christ-like figure, but when he describes Potter, you know, in one of his rages, he describes Potter as a scurvy little spider, you know, kind of like the evil snake in a garden, you know. Beautifully played by Lionel Barrymore, by the way, and he's actually Drew Barrymore's grandfather and everything, you know, and stuff like that. But he was an excellent snake. I loved his butler man, you know, who never said anything.
Yes,
you know.
Yeah.
But you know, but they also, if you notice, neither of them aged. We see them when George was a little boy, and then as a grown man, even a grown old man, and Potter and his manservant was same age the whole time. I don't know. It's just funny to me. So let's talk about the idea of Clarence, right? Because like the thing is that, this film, like you said, it could start off as it seemed, oh, is this a religious film? I'm not gonna watch this. Like, what is this? God and the diamonds in the sky. But it was an hour in, like pretty much the movie nearly should be over, but it restarts when Clarence shows up, and so Clarence Oddbody, the angel who watched George all his life, and we really felt like we went through a whole movie watching this guy. And now, here comes Clarence. What did you think of the angel? And because really, I felt that Clarence really didn't affect anything except for allow for George to see what his life would have been like if he's never been born. Beyond that, he just kind of like followed George about. So it was just kind of really a device, really. But what did you guys think of Clarence?
Am I muted?
No, we can hear you.
Right, there you go. Yeah, he was. He had a bit of humour to him, but I thought he could have been a bit more playful.
Oh, you didn't think it was playful? I thought that's
no, I thought he was light in that, but he wasn't playful in the way that, let's put a banana skin there.
Okay,
just the fact that he could have done anything.
No, yeah,
that was open to all sorts of, mischief.
Yeah,
got his wings, sort of thing.
Yeah. Anybody, Tony? Oh, sorry, I see your man.
I'll share the screen here. Let's see.
Ooh, Tony's going to share a screen. Usually it's Zach who shares screens.
And anybody recognize a similarity between that and that?
We can't see anything yet.
No, you can't.
Nope, can't see it.
Right.
You click share screen, and then when you're on the share screen, you have to actually click again.
Yeah. So we've got that.
There we go. Waldo.
Oh no, that's Mr. Magoo.
That's Mr. Magoo.
I love Mr. Magoo. I love Mr. the blind old man. And yeah, he does. Lionel Barrymore and Mr. Magoo. Oh my God. You can imagine Mr. Magoo as Potter after he changed. You know what I mean?
That's what I thought.
All right. I'm pretty sure because of the time when Mr. Magoo was invented, I mean, that might have been a thought in someone's mind, the animator's mind of that.
Well, Mr.
Amanda
Magoo wasn't as evil as Potter, was
he? No. But he's saying that after he would probably had a change in heart, you know what I mean? Because one would think that, there's always that change of heart kind of scenario.
But I was really glad that they didn't, because that would have been a bit schmaltzifying it, a little bit like Zach said, and
I was already crying and I didn't need the evil man to melt his heart.
Yeah. And just to come back to your question about Clarence, I think the way that the level of influence and visibility that Clarence had was just right, because anymore and it would have made it more about Clarence or the God thing or whatever, and it wasn't. And I think Clarence was a very subtly played signpost, if you like, and which I think was very clever, because it kept it on George, and it kept it, and really his main, I think it was very I don't know if clever's the right word, but I think it was the right call to make him slightly bumbly, so that he was relatable. So there was none of this angelic, holier than thou. He was a human, really. I haven't got my wings yet. So he was again not.
He was kind of like a doddering old man.
A little bit, and I know that not. This is the. I suppose I was looking at it through a sort of recovery lens, and I know this isn't everybody's connection with recovery, but the idea of walking with is to me a very, very, very poignant part of recovery and life, really, that you are witnessing. You are possibly offering things, so because you've walked that
Go back
path,
to that last picture, Zach.
that path as well. And the other thing that I thought was really so I think there was an element of what Clarence wasn't that was really powerful for me. So they didn't portray him as showing him the way, but that thing about that, because that's the crux of the film, isn't it? What would the world be if you weren't in it? And the way that he was like,
You've never been in it.
Yeah. The way that it kind of occurred to him, because Clarence was kind of looking for a way.
Yeah, he was looking for the answer himself. Yeah.
And he went, maybe this will be it.
Maybe that could work. Yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't like I've got the answer. It was just.
Oh, no, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was quite powerful for me, about Clarence's efficacy and relatability.
Well, it's also kind of like, if you want to look at it in the personifying way, is that God probably knew the answer, but the role of the angels is, like, as you say, to walk with the people, is to, figure these things out. And Clarence wasn't really affecting too much. He was really just kind of counseling there. But like, that leads me to like, the existence of life without George, right? Because like, what I want to discuss is, my prediction really is kind of like, the story is more about Harry than George. Yeah, in a way, because if like George's life changed, well, his life didn't change, but George said, "What if I'd never been born?" Right? So if he'd never been born, his brother would have died when he was a kid, and that's the very powerful scene at the graveyard where George discovers that his brother didn't live, and Clarence says, "You weren't there to save Harry, so Harry didn't save those guys on that plane mission that he went on, because you weren't there to save Harry." And but because he wasn't there to save Harry, that means Harry would have died at the pond, and his mom and dad would have suffered. Dad would have had a heart attack later on. Mom would have turned into this kind of like old maid in a boarding house. His Uncle Billy would have went to the sanitarium. So everything would have changed without Harry. Harry was the linchpin, but the movie makes us feel that George is the linchpin, right? In that aspect, And I just thought that was really intriguing as I looked at it, with the idea of having to talk about it. What did you guys think? Because Harry comes in and out of the life of George's life, always succeeding, always doing and everything, and George is always letting him do, right? And then he becomes a hero. It's a real hero's journey for Harry. Well, you were gonna say something there, Tony?
Yeah, I suppose I've seen lots of juxtaposition.
Oh, nice shot.
And there's the particular juxtaposition between Harry and going out, exploring the world and doing all these big, wonderful things, and George, who stays in the town and does different wonderful things. And I thought that was a significant juxtaposition within the film itself. And another is built on Clarence not being a really handsome, tall, blue-eyed, blonde bloke, or a beautiful woman, with a soft focus screen every time that he comes on. That was just reserved for George's wife. Clarence, was almost the exact opposite. He wasn't particularly attractive, bumbling. He was short. Everything that you wouldn't have put down as an angel, which again was a juxtaposition to the angelic wife. So I just thought that there was these things being played off throughout the film.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just to say, I see you, man. Just to say that they tried to make a sequel about Clarence called Clarence with Robert Carradine, who's just not an attractive man, but it didn't work. Go ahead, Amanda.
Just picking up on the women in the film as well, and what they kind of brought, I suppose, to the piece, because I think Mary.
Hey, I'm sorry. Could you just continue? Could you continue talking? I just had to use the bathroom. All right. Yeah. Continue your point, though.
So, I think Mary, she was a beautiful, physically beautiful woman. I think she also brought a strength as well, and so I don't think she was portrayed as although it was clear, and she said she was in love with George, and that was evident, but she did kind of like challenge him, and you didn't feel that she was she had a strength to her, and I think that strength was about what she wanted, and she wanted to be in that town, and she wanted to raise the family, and she was sort of supportive of George, but she also brought something to that partnership and the marriage, where she gave the money away when the bank was crashing. She went and created that honeymoon sort of night. She did that. She went and asked the townspeople, told them that George was in trouble. So I think she had a really strong role, and was a sort of a strong female archetype that was a mother, and but had her own sense, and it was interesting as well with the other women. So Violet again had this sort of sense of searching, I think, because she was going to go at the end, always looking for something either outside of the town or within the relationships that she was striving for. And the fact that at the end she said, no, I'm going to stay as well. So I thought Violet was an interesting character, as were the two mothers.
Do you think the women were treated fairly in this film, or stereotypically, or derogatory, if that's the wrong term, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Not over. I didn't get an overly so.
They were typically portrayed of the time in some ways. I mean, they were beautiful women, and there was soft lighting every time that they were on. They had quite stereotypical roles. The dutiful wife, the mother, and all the rest of it. Except that she was the next step up from that. She was much more of a decision maker than quite women were portrayed. Was that supposed to be the two of them when they were younger then? Yeah.
It was the two of them, yeah.
Yeah, so playing off what you just said there, could I just make my point about Mary, played by the lovely Donna Reed, who became America's happy homemaker mom of the 50s. This was brilliant. I mean, Mary and Violet became our first kind of like love triangle, I think, in films. They were very much like the Betty and Veronica of Archie's life, you know what I mean? One blonde and the other brunette. But what I thought was really, I'm not going to say like interesting, but I'm going to say this was, of its time and place, right? But these women weren't treated very well, because Mary says to George, Like I think George is like, what would you do if you didn't marry me? Right when she first tells him that she's pregnant, she says, I would be an old maid. Right. When George, goes to the school party and meets her, they look at each other across the room, or Mary looks at him across the room, and it's kind of like she hasn't seen him, like as if he's been away. But then she says, you walk past me all the time on the street. You know what I mean? But the and that's beautiful saying that. But like the whole point is the fact that even when she was a kid, she whispers in his dead ear, about how she loves him and stuff, you know. But she really was nothing without George in a way. Do you know what I mean? Like she saw him as a child. She wanted to always be married to him. She wanted that house, that broken down house. She knew in her heart that this was the love of her life and they would be together forever. And in the essence that they were. But Violet, the character of Violet, was like, my God, like she was always, ever since she was a little girl, she was always, I guess, a bit Randy or boy crazy. And then he actually, in their time period, turned her, without saying it, into kind of like a hooker, or a girl who was on the other side of the tracks. But to George, she was still Violet, and to her, he was still George, and he would always do for her as he could. And she respected that. She didn't use him in any way, which is why in the end, she said, I'm not going to go, George, I'm going to stay. But she's really going to stay and do what? What I'm just trying to say is they didn't really handle the female characters very well in this film. It was nice, it was good. It was a good part, but I heard you was talking about how they were dealing with the characters there, man. I just thought, they could have done better, in that aspect. The last thing that I have on my list that I want to talk about was the gang or the boys, right? Now, what I really love about this, I don't know how you guys feel about it. I mean, I come from a past where it's like I had my group of friends and we were kind of like the little rascals, as most kids from our 70s period do experience that, we go out on adventures and everything, and you want to be friends for life. So the six boys you see after George saves Harry from the drowning, walking down the street arm in arm, that's George and his little brother Harry, and the other four kids are the other four men that still remain in his life. So that would be Marty, who is Mary's brother, right? Who introduces them again in high school. That would be Sam Wainwright, Hee Haw Sam, right? Who goes off to become rich. And that'd be Bert and Ernie, the two best friends who then become the cop and the cab driver. So in case you missed it.
Did you say Bert and Ernie?
I know, Bert and Ernie. I was going to have it as a question, but I figured it's not really in the movie. But Bert and Ernie just inspired the names of Bert and Ernie on Sesame Street and stuff like that. So, yeah, Bert the cop and Ernie the cab driver are his best friends that remain his best friends that we see throughout the movie. But it's really nice to know that they were the kids that they known each other all their lives. So the four of them were the ones that helped him. They did the fireman carry to help George save Harry. So I thought that's intriguing, and a lot of people missed that. So I just wanted to make that a mention that those kids were friends for life, and they're throughout this film and everything in integral. Did you guys know that, or did you recall any of that, or anything? No.
Well,
no. Yeah, well, it's an important thing to know that, like, again, remember, no man is a failure who has friends, and George has friends, and he had lifelong friends and everything, and they stayed his friends.
Whereas Harry's friends all got shot.
No, he saved them. He saved them from the transport. You know what I mean, Tony? Yeah.
Think about that. I mean, I the idea of what is your, what happens if you're not around, if you don't exist. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a very it's a nice question to consider. I mean, I don't actually believe in, this is sort of suggesting cause and effect, and I don't believe in that. So, you know, like Harry would have died because you weren't there. You know, it's as if things kind of happen and continue to happen, which isn't my belief system. But I thought that was that whole thing about how the relationships evolved. That was quite a powerful one, wasn't it?
Yeah, because if you go through a powerful experience, it kind of like keeps you united. Remember that day we saved your brother?
The pharmacist was you know, a kind of hobo, because actually he
killed that kid.
Died because of the result of his accident, really.
In his depression, he wasn't focused, and he put the wrong pills in the thing, and stuff like that. And if George wasn't there, he would have still done it.
Didn't have their house, and Nick was you know, and it did give this sort of, the town was a bit of a den of iniquity. That was the.
It would have been if they weren't in the way of Potter. Potter would have just sold all the houses. He would have just made money off of the properties. And I mean, that's what was great about this movie, because you could actually see, you know, the levels of what would have went wrong if George wasn't there to interfere and everything. You know, that was classic.
Yeah.
That's why it had to be so long as well. You know.
I mean, like Zach, I haven't seen it before, and
really, Tony.
Yeah, no, but very much.
Then tell us what your opinion is.
Yeah, very much like Zach. I was thinking, this is one of those cheesy, schmaltzy Christmas movies that I absolutely hate, and I can't be bothered with at all. But I'll stick with it. But I really enjoyed it. It was a parable, really, wasn't it? It was like something you might read in the Bible. You know, how valuable you are, and you know, we're all in it together. Because if we're not, we can all end up just like the devil, who was Potter. So I actually quite enjoyed it, and it kept my concentration. And I think it was partly because there was characters in it who weren't over the top schmaltzy. So it wasn't like a Disney movie in that respect. And I think the angel Clarence helped, you know, because he didn't look anything like an angel.
No. I'm laughing about the scene when Violet came along, and George and Bert and Ernie were looking at her and stuff, and you know, like she was very distracting, and then Ernie says, "Would you?" And he said, "Yes, I would." Right? and then Ernie goes, "Yeah, so Bert, yeah, I can give you right." He's like, "No, I'm gonna go home and see what the wife's doing."
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you gotta understand that's really different for the time.
Yeah.
But it's very tame, but you know what he meant.
I think just the last thing for me, maybe before we pause, if that's okay, is I think you could also look at it as elements of all the characters are all of our psyches, you know, and the different bit Jungian this, but so we all carry all of those around with us. So we've all got a Potter, we've all got a Violet, we've all got a Mary, you know, we've all got a George and a Harry, and it's and I think that's, to me, that's a big part of a kind of a recovery lens as well, that, you know, it's not this, well, I'm good and they're bad. Actually, they're all parts of me, and that kind
different aspects of one.
Yeah, and actually being connected to your Potter is actually a sort of, I think, a more progressive thing rather than trying to kill it. So anyway, There you go.
Yeah.
I'd just like to add, because you're hinting at going for a break before we go to the quiz, but just going towards the end of the film, I was surprised, very surprised, on how emotionally invested I got when
Wow.
you say you shed a tear at the end there.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, oh yeah. It was
Did you, Zach?
oh,
Did you really?
Yeah.
Did you?
Which, like, I shouldn't have done, because
Why should
it
you?
wasn't like, you know, a hard hitting,
No.
you know, strong drama. It had all these subtleties that played, and contrasts and stuff like that, and resolutions, and, you know, fundamental human need and everything, or whatever. But yeah, so yeah, that's why I think I was surprised on how it wasn't like I didn't. It wasn't like I'd seen it at the cinema and I walked out the cinema on air, sort of thing. So it wasn't that sort of feel good type of movie. Do you know what I mean? But it was like, oh wow, yeah. Well, not even that, but just the fact that it crafted that in the viewer, I thought was really well done.
See,
the quality of Jimmy Stewart's acting, I think.
Oh yeah.
Oh, forget about it.
That, and I think that was my opening point about him. Obviously, the script gave him that, but he was real. So he was pissed off. He was pissed off that he couldn't do that. He was like, and then he's bit at the end where he was, you know, like realizing and loving his family and stuff like that. Was not like this big piece. It was powerful because of all the other bits, and you could feel him probably going back and being pissed off at certain things again. And you know, and I think that this is a real man. He's not a hero in this schmaltzy way.
But that's what my point was. He is a real person, and real people get angry. And this is the thing that is the most powerful thing for me, which is why I say I cry every time, is because, damn it, man, I'm only trying to help. I'm only trying to survive. Do you know what I mean? And he's just a guy who got a family, he's got a community, he's got all these people that he's taking care of. He doesn't want to, but he has to. He feels that he's crossed the bear. And what it does is he holds all his anger inside. So when he comes home and he starts kicking the chair, you know, and all that kind of stuff because he lost the money, he thinks he's going to jail and stuff, the whole point is he's still not raging. You know, he still carries it, goes out and figures, I'm better off dead than alive and everything. And he should have just talked to Mary. He should have just talked to someone, and he didn't, you know, and he could have just gave up this beautiful life he created. You know, and I think that's what he learned in the end. It's like, how stupid was I to think I should kill myself? How stupid was I to try to jump? Look at all of these people. Look at what I've done. And he doesn't have to say a word. So watching his reaction, I get that feeling now. Watching the reaction of people coming in with all of their possessions. You know, he's just like, but he did it himself. He gave up his money to them, you know, because he wanted them to live, and they want him to live, and he almost threw that life away, and that was why I think I shed a tear for this, because it's kind of like never, ever think about giving up. And that's the last thing I want to say is never, ever think about giving up without talking to someone first. And I think that's why this was a perfect idea for Recovery Month and everything. And I want to just, like, you know, thank you guys for sharing your thoughts as well. Because I think that what we should do is still send this out, you know, on James' page or whatever, and let them still experience what we are talking about today, as well as the fun part about the quiz, you know. But that's me. But go ahead, Bandy. You have one final thing to say before we take a break.
That's probably the end of our open discussion. We're going to take a short break, and then we're going to come back with the quiz.
All right. Okay, hey, welcome back to the VoiceBox Incredibles film quiz. We just had our conversation and about the film that we have chosen, this particular film that we've chosen this week, It's a Wonderful Life. And we're now about to start the quiz and fun portion of the time. It's like a game show quiz and everything. There are 10 questions. We take them in 5 questions, and then we tally up the scores, and then we do the final 5 questions. Hopefully we get to the point where there's a tiebreaker, and the tiebreaker will solve out who won the particular quiz. Obviously, it's best if you watch the film for you to kind of like get the most answers out of it. But it's usually fun as we go about it. So welcome back to the quiz. Quiz. We're asking Zach to make us a theme song, but he still has not done it yet. And stuff, but he's thinking about it and everything. And okay. So I don't know if this is my screen, but is everybody's screen just like the regular screen, or?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe because I went to. No, I don't want to do that. I'm trying to get rid of my chat box here. How do I do that? Maybe I just close the chat. Yeah. Okay. All right. So back to the quiz. All right. Question number 1. All right. What does George say when he walks into the shop, wishes for $1 million, and clicks on the lighter? And then when it lights, what does he say?
Is this the first time?
He says it. He does it twice, and he said the same thing there, Tony. No trick answers and everything like that. So if you miss it the first time, he does it again. When he wishes for $1 million, right? So that's not what he says. All right. So number 2. What does young Mary whisper into George's dead ear? Now you need the whole sentence really, because it's beautiful. And I don't want you to just say, I like you. You will not win. All right, question number 3. What does that say? Yeah, when we first see the adult version of George, Jimmy Stewart, what kind of case does he want? As a traveling man, what kind of case does he want? So the first thing he says. Number 4. What does George's father say to him about George that he can't hear? That George says, what? So what is like the last things pretty much his father says to him about George? Says something specific. Number 5. What kind of dance were they doing when George is dancing with Mary over the floor that becomes the pool? What kind of dance were they doing? So this first section, these first 5 questions, is in the period of George's life as we are all learning about him. All right, so let's see. Oh, wait a minute. Pull out the pen. Oh, I'm sorry. So now we're going to what the questions? Let's see. Amanda, Tony, and Zach. All right. I love this game. Requires honesty because we're not asking people to like put up boards and stuff. We don't have pens and markers like that. But Tony writes his stuff down. That's good, man. So, question number 1. What does George say when he wishes for $1 million as he clicks on the lighter fluid? Amanda.
Hot dog.
Okay, Tony.
I'll have to stay.
You have to what?
Stay.
Say.
Stay here in this town.
All right. Zach?
I couldn't remember, but I said to travel the world. I can't remember.
Okay. So Amanda is right. Hot dog. and stuff. All right. Question number 2. What does Mary whisper into George's dead ear? Who wants to go for that one?
I put, I will love you forever.
Okay, what do you got, Tony?
Nothing.
Amanda?
It is the sentiment is I will love you forever. I think I've put I will love you till the end or something like that. But
Love the movie.
I will love you to the end of the movie. Right. Now, trying to be fair here. Neither you got it right, but Zach and Amanda, you had the right sentiment. So the exact words were, "I love you to the day I die."
that was the end. It was yeah.
But I have to give it to Zach because he does say, "I love you forever," and Amanda says, "I love you to what?"
It was till the end of. It was like for eternity. It was that thing.
The end of the movie.
I'm gonna have to give it to Zach and not Amanda, and everything because Lise is more clearer and everything,
Okay.
So, all right. Question number 3. When we first see Jimmy Stewart, the adult George, what kind of case does he want? Anyone? Tony.
A big one like that with there's lots of stickers on it. Bang there.
This was so worth it. Does it get Tony's version of Jimmy Stewart?
Well, why not?
Amanda?
I got an explorer's case.
Zach?
I just put a large case.
I guess I'm gonna have to give it to Tony because I want a big one. A big one.
They said Baghdad, Samarkand, and somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. So 3 questions in, and we are tied. Each one of you has 1 point. 3 questions in. This is really good. Now we got a race, people. We got a dog in a race. All right. Question number 4. Who's going to break the tie? What does the father say about George that George cannot hear? Zach, you don't have it?
I can't remember that at all.
Tony?
I'm proud of you.
Amanda?
I'm proud of you.
No one's got that. He says, George, you were born older.
Yes, I remember that.
Which is significant. He's like, George, you were born older. Like you were born an old man, you grumpy little cuss.
Because he was going to college at 45. That's what he was like.
We were doing the songs, and I said, "Do you realise he's only supposed to be 21 here?"
Was he 45?
Well,
no, but he looked a lot older than 21 anyway.
Yeah, he did, definitely. All right, question number 5, to end the first round. What kind of dance were they doing over the platform which would become the swimming pool? Amanda.
The Charleston.
Okay. Tony.
The Charleston.
Zach.
Well, I've got to be honest. I couldn't think of the name of it, but I knew it. It was like I put cha-cha-cha, even though I knew it was wrong. And I can see the dance and all that. I was sorely tempted to say the Charleston then, but...
Yeah.
The Charleston splash!
So, yeah, it was the Charleston and everything. So, at the end of 5, it's to be expected. Tony and Amanda are tied with 2 points, but Zach is trailing by 1. All right, so this is the lowest scores we've had so far, but we have a race. We definitely have a race, people. I just wanted to say at this point was that it was weird, that guy who offered the jealous boy the key to open up the platform, because the way he did it he had this sinister look on his face, like as if he was the devil being mischievous. You know what I mean? He was like, hey, and I happen to have the key. You know what I mean? So, you know, with the religious overtones and everything. Okay, so
I thought that scene was great. I really enjoyed that scene.
No.
And everyone jumping in, and the you know, the indignant one as well jumping in at the end.
I just love it how oblivious.
Funny.
I just love it how oblivious they was, and it was, I guess, the perfect dance that they could go back and forth, and it didn't seem forced and everything.
Yeah,
okay,
I mean, carry on dancing in the water.
Yeah. Really fun scene.
Yeah, definitely. So, second round, people. Score, like I said, is tied at 2.
Should I just say well done, Amanda, now before we start?
No, don't give up, Zach. All right,
coming up on the rails here.
You're coming up, man. You're coming up on the rails. It's still a good dog race. Question number 6. George asked. Oh, okay. So when the bank was foreclosed and everybody was doing a run and everything, stopping George from leaving town once again, George asked the people of the town to have what? Until the bank opens, George asked the people of the town to have what? All right. Question number 7. When George questions Potter's offer, right? Potter offers to, you know, give George a house and everything else like that. Potter yells at him, "Damn it, man!" What? What does Potter say about George? Damn it, man! All right. What does Potter say about George? Damn it, man. He actually says, damn it, man. All right. Question number 8. What does the president give Harry? It's in the paper. What does the president give Harry? And everybody's all happy, George himself. Question number 9. What changed George's life for the worse? And to look at everything, what changed George's life for the worse?
That's a bit easy, Terry.
Huh?
Is this something we're supposed to interpret from the whole movie, or have you got something specific in mind?
I think I got something specific. What moment changed George's life for the worse? So he saw his life, right? Twice. One moment changed it for the worse. So yes, if you watch the movie, you will know what that moment is. All right, final question, Trick Boy. Number 10. What gift did Clarence give George in the end? What gift did Clarence give George in the end? Okay. So, question number 6. I'm going back now. George asked the town to have what when the bank did the run, when we were going to foreclose and everybody was in his office? George asked the town to do what? Zach? I mean, to have what?
I can't remember. I can only guess, like.
Well, guess.
Their policies.
Have your policies. Okay, Tony?
Patience.
Amanda?
Faith.
What?
Faith.
I gotta have faith.
Faith. Okay, George Michael, Amanda's right. Right?
Oh, I thought that was too obvious.
Well, no, because the woman says, I can't live on faith. The guy goes, I can't deal with that. I need my money. And stuff. It's kind of like a movie with religious overtones, right? He says, you got to believe in the other people. There's no money here. It's in his house and her house. You got to trust that they're going to give you the money back. Have faith. That's what he says. Number 7. When George questions Potter's offer, Potter asked him what? Damn it, man, are you what? Number 7. Who's got it? Zach?
Don't know. I'm guessing again.
Go ahead.
Crazy.
Okay, Tony?
When you originally asked the question, you didn't ask it quite the same as that I thought you asked. But anyhow, I put down, I'm offering you 20,000 a year for 3 years.
Yeah, but I said that when I said when George questions Potter's offer, Potter screams at him saying, "Damn it, man, are you what?" That's how I rephrased it. I mean, that's how I phrased it. So he said something specific. So if you know the line, Amanda?
I didn't get it because yeah. I get it.
Okay. He says, "Damn it, man, are you afraid of success? What the hell is wrong with you?"
I remember it now, yeah.
And I was going to actually put it in the conversation because I feel personally, a lot of my life, I have been afraid of success. Okay, that's me. All right, counseling's over. All right.
Right.
But in recovery, hey, people can understand that.
Yeah.
So that's why I thought it was a good question. Number 8. What does the president give Harry? Anyone? Tony?
Congressional Medal of Honor.
Zach?
Yeah, same.
Amanda?
Same.
You're all correct. The Congressional Medal of Honor for saving all those people on that transport by shooting down that spy plane. So let's see. At the end of 8, we'll tally the scores. Georgie Doors, what are the scores? And we got. Okay, so we had the tie has been broken. All right. Amanda has jumped ahead as our Greyhound at 4. Tony has our Bulldog at 3. And Zach has our Shih Tzu at 2. So, I mean, come on, Zach, you got 2 more chances to catch up. So hopefully if Amanda gets these next 2 wrong, you could tie or Tony could win. Either way you look at it.
I had a poodle called Chase.
What? I never met a poodle called Chase. Okay. All right. So question number 9. All right. What changed George's life for the worse? Now, Tony felt that, hey, are you speculating? But no, there is a specific moment in the film that changed his life for the worse that we see throughout the movie. So what was it? Anybody?
I put not being born, but that's probably
okay.
Not what you're
Tony?
looking for.
Losing his hearing in his ear.
Amanda?
When he lost the, when he realised that the money had been lost, the $8,000, so there was a discrepancy in the balance.
Yeah. So if George says, I should never have been born, and try and shows him what would happen if he'd never been born, what's the significant thing that happened if he wasn't there?
Oh, Harry's death.
Exactly. His brother dying was a significant change. So no, Tony, I didn't speculate on the answer. It is the only answer, is that his brother dying changed his life for the worse. I said, what changed his life for the worse? His brother dying. Then everybody's life was all kaput. You get it? Yeah, okay. All right, but it's true.
You've got 3 blank faces here, Chase. Blankety, blankety, blank.
Blankety, blank, blank, blank. Okay, fine. Last question here, people. It still gives us a chance for a tiebreaker. If Amanda gets it wrong, Tony gets it right. What gift did Clarence give George? So what we'll do is we'll go to Zach first.
Gave him his life back to normal.
Tony?
He gave him the gift of knowing what he meant to others.
Amanda?
Yeah, that he mattered and his impact and influence on the world.
I'm really rather saddened, all right? that you're all wrong. You know, the gift that Clarence gave to George when everybody gave all their money and George is the richest man in town, the bell rings. Zuzu says, oh, when the bell rings, the angel gets his wings. I could have gave you that question, but I thought that was too easy. No, when the bell rings, they see a present from Clarence. George lifts it up, and it's Clarence's book, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. So he gave him a book, and inside the book, that's when he read the quote, "No man is a failure who has friends." So that is the gift that Clarence did, was remind George that he has friends, and that is why he's so
I'll
rich.
give you that. Yeah, it is.
You're moving from esoteric to concrete, back to esoteric.
Oh, come on, it's so obvious though. He gave him a book, and his wife said to him, "What is that?" "It's from a very good friend of mine."
But it also gives him insight into, you know, how much.
Yeah, but I think the book is right. I think the book is right.
The book is right. It's an obvious thing in his hand.
The previous one was poorly worded because we were all like, "What?
What changed his life for the worse? How is life so bad? It's because his brother died. That's so obvious. It's just only because you're not thinking." And then we had the whole discussion as well. All right. So anyway,
quizzes are not meant to be easy.
No, but the book,
they're not.
makes sense when you explain it. The previous one still doesn't. So that's the measure for me.
Measure.
Anyway,
Okay.
go on.
All right. So anyway, let's see what we got. So at the end,
the result is unchanged.
No, it is actually. It is actually, because you guys all got one in one round. So that's 3.
Another high scoring.
Yeah, it is another high score. 3, 1, 2, 4.
Have you noticed the way Americans
2,
spell things differently with the letter U?
I don't know what you mean by that, but
You got the Congressional Medal of Honor, HONOR.
Yeah, there's no U.
They don't put OU and they don't put E.
Color, COLOR.
That's right. And they don't put ER. They don't put RE. They put ER, which makes more sense than RE, to be honest.
Theatre.
Center.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Right. Wow. 1, 2. Yeah. Right. Zach is right. It is unchanged. It is 4-3-2. Yep. So Amanda once again has won the race at 4. Limping along as she's done. Limping along as she's done. You know, the other dogs just kind of like gave up where they said, "Oh, this is too esoteric for me."
I think this is a fix. There's something.
Yeah, this is a fix. Oh my God. So anyway, as we always like to do, let's just ask the tiebreaker question anyway.
Yeah.
I always like the tiebreaker question to be a bit of maths. So the closest number you get will be the key, right? So tiebreaker. How much money did Uncle Billy leave on the bank counter that caused the whole reason to commit suicide? So whatever number that you come closest to, even if you can't get the full number and stuff. Let's go. Dad will send them to prison.
Three numbers.
3 numbers.
Yeah.
Okay.
three numbers in mind.
Okay. All right. How about one? Let's see. What's one of the 3 numbers? Who wants to go first?
I'm going to say 5,000.
Okay. Zach says 5,000. All right. Tony?
8,000.
Yeah, that's the other number.
Amanda?
Oh, right, 8.
It's 8, innit? I knew it was 8.
It is 8,000. So Tony and Amanda would have been tied in the tiebreaker if they would have actually been tied in the game. And then I would have had to come up with another one. Well, thankfully, I don't have another one. So, hey, that's our quiz. You know what I mean? So, either way.
I love tie breaks. They're good.
I know. I try to make them mathematical and give you a chance. But especially since my questions are supposedly esoteric.
Can I just say before we sign off on our recording, Thank you as ever, Chase, for
Yeah, thanks, Chase.
for
Great esoteric question.
you wonderful.
You know what? This is a long, hard movie, and I was like, oh man, I can't. I was given like all the answers in the first part, and then like in the second part, I was like, oh man, I need some questions. And then I'm sorry if I felt a little deep. You know, I wanted to say what pedals did he have in his pocket, or or what was his, yeah. I was looking for hard answers. Sorry.
So thank you, and if you're watching this, thank you for watching.
Hope you got the answers correct. Hope you got 10 out of 10. Because nobody